Boxing, definitely the theater of the unexpected. Shout out to Larry Merchant, the leprechaun who once coined the phrase on HBO, but he got it from somewhere else, but forgive me for not knowing at this present time. This is an editorial as a result of a fight that took place on the undercard of Better Beef versus Bivol. A fight that could have, as I stated when I did my breakdown video of it, it could have had its own main event. We're talking about the rematch that took place between Fabio Wardley and Big Frage Clarke, two UK heavyweight hopefuls who were looking to make a distinction between the last fight and this rematch after being held to a draw by decision after their first meeting back in March. One thing that I've often said about fighters fighting in rematches, it gives someone a chance to go back to the drawing board and come back with either a new wrinkle, a rededication, and refocus, and the intent to provide some semblance of separation between the two parties and why someone should move forward and someone will have to rethink their path. Let's talk about the dynamite explosive affair that was Wardley versus Clarke 2. Rematches often bring a different story than the first go around. It is very rare that a rematch repeats what you've seen the first go around in boxing. But when it comes down to Fabio Wardley versus Frazier Clarke 2, that was Saturday, October 12th in Saudi, Riyadh season, on the undercard, the co-main for Better Beef versus Bivol. These two men brought to light exactly what it means in the heavyweight division to see fighters bring the best out of one another. And that's exactly what we got. And it didn't take long at all. The first fight gave us back and forth, ebb and flow. There was a knockdown. There was a point deduction. There was blood. And then there was a draw that many people felt was unnecessary, but it gave us a chance to see something special for the rematch. A separation of talent, where in this rematch, Fabio Wardley exploded on Big Frage, the Eraser he's nicknamed. Wardley looked like a monster. with an overhand right. It was all that he needed to put Big Fraze, who outweighed him about 30 pounds, in peril. Followed up with a series of combination shots in which he said after the first meeting he rushed a knockout when he had Fraze on the canvas in their first stanza. But he vowed not to do it again. And boy, was he right, because when he followed up after staggering Clarke early in the first round of their match, he went in with precise, destructive mindset, follow-up blows that were in the vein of Custer Motto's vernacular, punches with bad intentions. The next thing you know, Clarke was down and out. There was no need for a count. There was no need to question and wonder about the separation of talent, the separation of ambition and desire, and what was driven and what was being driven by Fabio's mindset. This looked like when Lennox Lewis destroyed Andrew Galata in one round. And so now Wardley, whose record has moved to 18-0, one draw with Big Fraze, and 17 KOs, now including Big Fraze. Wardley showed the world that he is the heavyweight to take note of in 2025, coming out of the UK. Unfortunately, Big Fraze's record will drop to 8-1 with one draw and 6 KOs. It's going to be difficult to determine what's next for him, because this was a brutal knockout. And since he is already the type of man that is brutally honest, I spoke about that in interviews, he may not be the same after this, because understand that Fabio is a fighter that didn't have the extensive amateur training and background. He came to the sport as a complete novice, turning pro, looking to be the best that he could be at his craft. And though Fraze had a more extensive amateur background, he has a few more years of age at 33 over Wardley's 29. But he is embarrassed, because I do believe that he and his camp took this fight, as well as the first fight, lightly because of Wardley's background. But in the heavyweight division, as they say, all it takes is one, right? But I'll tell you, the one that it took was delivered with such a veracity, a ferociousness, and ill intent that there is no denying that if Fabio continues on with that type of approach to his matches, we will see more of the same. And the heavyweight division should be put on notice, because there are not enough fighters out there with the type of intensity and approach to their craft that he displayed. And I've talked about his personality being very engaging. He's a bit of a cut up and a humorous guy. But my goodness, when the bell rings, he is all business. All you have to do is ask David Adelaide, another young hopeful whom he met in October of 2023 and blasted out after they had a war of words going back and forth. And Adelaide was a talented heavyweight as well. 6'4.5" with fast, hard punching hands and fists. But he was down in the 7th round, and it was over, and he was out. And guess what? It's now a year on, and he still has yet to return to the ring. After all that brashness, after all of that conversation that he had, Fabio seems to be collecting souls in the heavyweight division. And I can't wait to see what's next for the young man. One thing about boxing that rings true continuously, and that is the fact that that square ring is a place where the truth is told at all times. We can't wait to see what's next from Wardley. And if it's anything like Saturday night, it's going to be something to brace yourself for. But what do you think? This is Stormy B-Man. Shout out to the mighty LDBC and Liberated Perspective, a third eye view of the world. For more content such as this, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Peace to everyone out there, and everyone please remain safe.